These are the stories that keep me up at night. The missing, the murdered, the mysteries that have gone unsolved in our own backyards. I've covered crime in North Texas for more than 25 years, and now I'm opening up my reporter's notebook to you, revisiting cold cases and crimes that made headlines. The story of Luis Campos and Lenoshka Torres is the most troubling story I've covered in my 37 years in journalism. It's heartbreaking because this young couple was snatched off the streets of Oak Cliff in Dallas by cartel members. And from the very beginning, police and prosecutors mishandled this case.
It's been 18 years. And it's not easy.
For nearly 2 decades, Lenoshka's sister has fought for justice for Luis and Lenoshka.
Just doesn't make sense that all this could happen to just one case.
Let's start from the beginning. On January 6th of 2007, this young couple had gone to the home of a mechanic in Oak Cliff. They were there to check on a vehicle that he had been working on. And police say the young couple was taken in front of the mechanic's home by 3 men. We now know that at least one of those men was a notorious member of the Gulf Cartel.
I have no idea why they were pointed out. I think they were just easy target because they were there.
The mechanic's son later on told police that he saw the men approaching the couple, but he never called 911. Dallas police said at the time, the men were looking for someone who had stolen more than $40,000 worth of cash and drugs from the home of Nicolas Monares. Luis was 20, Lenoshka was 19, and unfortunately, they were at the wrong place at the wrong time, and they were set up as scapegoats.
We don't know these people. We don't know where they came from. No connection at all.
When officers arrived, the couple's belongings were still in the vehicle. The keys were still in the ignition and their cell phones were on the seat. But the Dallas police detective in charge of the case told the family that they couldn't do much because they were adults.
They wouldn't take the report because they weren't missing for 48 hours.
The Dallas police told the family that the couple probably took off on their own or they were out partying. But Lenoshka was 5 months pregnant and they were expected at a family dinner that night. So the family says they waited on police while precious hours and days ticked by. Finally, 3 days after the couple disappeared, the family launched their own search and they called me.
I actually believe somebody took them. I don't know what's the reason or anything.
They put up flyers and waited for a break in the case. Several weeks later, their bodies and the baby's remains were found dumped off Dowdy Ferry Road in southern Dallas County. Their clothes had been stripped off their bodies and they had severe trauma. We later learned that they had been tortured, beaten with a bat, electrocuted, waterboarded at a home in Oak Cliff. Prosecutors say Monares choked Lenoshka with his hands, tape, and a plastic bag.
All the stuff that they said that they did to them, it's just heartbreaking because thinking that somebody can do that to 2 little kids. It's just hard to understand that somebody can do that to another human being.
Shortly after the bodies were found, they arrested Frank Estrella and Jorge Banda for assisting in the kidnapping. Meanwhile, Monares, who police say committed the murders, fled to Mexico. He was eventually caught trying to cross the border in El Paso in 2012. You would think that the story would end there with their convictions, but no. Prosecutors were forced to cut a deal with Monares. Sources tell me that Monares' confession was coerced, so it wasn't admissible.
We got a call like at the last minute, oh yeah, we doing a plea deal, and he's getting 15 years. 15 years, like for 3 people that you know they killed.
Prosecutors also cut a deal with Frank Estrella. He got 15 years, served only 5 years, and was paroled in 2017. But he disappeared a couple of years ago, and the state can't find him. Jorge Banda got a life sentence, and he is actually still in prison. And then there's Monares. At the time of the arrest for the murders, he was also found guilty in a DEA case where he had gotten 10 years in prison. And after serving that sentence, he was supposed to be transferred to the state prison to do time for Luis and Lanoshka's murders. But because of confusion, prosecutors messing up some of the paperwork, and the Dallas County Sheriff's Department, he was actually deported to Mexico. He never served a day in jail for the murders of Luis and Lanoshka.
It's just hard to, live and continue and nothing happens.
The families of Luis and Lanoshka live in fear with these two men on the run, and they are really hoping that Mexican authorities and U.S. authorities work together to bring these men into custody so that they can finally live in peace.